Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the True Life Podcast. I hope everybody's having a beautiful day. Hope the sun is shining. I hope the birds are singing. Hope the wind is at your back. Some people sip from the surface. Eve drinks from the source. She's not here to make you comfortable. She's here to make you clear. A student of the sacred, a surgeon of the psyche. She speaks in spells and syllables, carving new dimensions with every word. She coined the phrase intelligently selfish, not as rebellion, but as restoration. She knows that to truly love, one must first know how to stand alone, sovereign and untamed. Her mind is a cathedral of DMT echoes, her heart a furnace where falsehoods burn. She walks between Rumi and rupture, the Upanishads and upheaval, merging mystic with matter, insight with impact. This is not a conversation. This is decoding. Eve, I'm so stoked you're here. How are you?
I mean, you just managed to bring me to tears within the first minute. Wow, what a well-worded man. My goodness, I'm digesting me through your mouth, and I receive in gratitude. What a gift to be languaged so beautifully, George. My gracious, I get to be interviewing you.
That's it. That's what a good conversation is. It's two people just sort of, you know, figuring out, having some raw curiosity between each other, and just putting something out there that people can digest and be part of. I got the best audience in the world. To everybody lining up out there, thank you so much. We're gonna get into this, and so yeah, you know what? I was thinking about how do I start this conversation, and I thought maybe I could give a little bit of background. You and I met in Denver at District 216 event, which is a great event. It's a great outfit. They got a huge marquee event coming up, and I was out there working as part of the media team. But what is your relationship with going to Denver 216, and what were you doing out there?
Oh, it was such an incredible event filled with such extraordinary people. And I had the opportunity and the pleasure to host a workshop entitled You, Me, and DMT, where there's my dog in the background living his best life. We discussed DMT, what I've learned through altered states of consciousness, which I have a tendency to journey into quite frequently. It's one of my favorite forms of travel. And so one of the main intentions of the workshop was languaging what we're experiencing in those states. And yeah, it was such a gift, such a gift. So grateful to be there. It went really well.
You know, one of the things that blew me away in our initial conversation was like how much experience you have with psychedelics, primarily DMT. I think you're sitting with like three zeros behind that comma. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, maybe 4.
I love it. I love it.
Maybe, yeah, 4. It's probably 4. Yes, N dimethyltryptamine is my master teacher. It's not in competition with any of my other relationships, and it's my most important one, I would say. It has deconstructed and reconstructed me to such a degree that now I truly, truly, genuinely enjoy being me. Like really, really. So it's given me access to a level of self-love that it's peace. Yeah, it's given me access to peace, and it's put me into direct dialogue with my higher consciousness, and nobody can hold me accountable like I can hold myself. I can smell my bullshit. So it's great. It's absolutely great. How was your time at Psychedelic Playhouse?
It was awesome. You know, I went out there for I got invited to go to MAPS as like a media partner, and I went out there, but prior to that event, I went and did a really cool Iboga Saves event where there was all these practitioners, people like Gareth Moxie and the Fishleys were out there, Lakshmi was out there, but it was my first sort of foray into the world of Iboga. And I was like, whoa, this is deep. This is like 72 hours. There's some real incredible life-changing events happening with people in addiction or PTSD or just finding themselves. And it seems to me the spirit of Iboga is like, it's no bullshit. It's like, you are the problem. Let's figure this thing out. So it was a beautiful experience. The whole Denver District 216 maps. It was wonderful. I really enjoyed it.
Incredible, dude. Incredible. And iboga is, it's very special, specifically if we reflect on what's been going on with opioids and pharmaceuticals, and iboga's ability to get in there, clear receptor sites, build new brain, take you for a walk in your own psyche. So it's providing so much healing for so many, and giving them access to a freedom that they didn't think that they would have, specifically those that are looping very deep in addiction. So it's, Boga's a queen.
Yes. You brought up the term self-love a second ago, and I'm just curious, like, how do you define that? Like, what is self-love?
That's a great question. Let me process. So for me, so if we actually go into love, self-love, I think of as conditional love, right? Okay. Because there is me. So if there is character consciousness, now there is a condition. Right. So when I love me, what I'm also doing is accepting how I'm experiencing myself. And when I hold myself in whatever experience or expression of myself, then I've now created this safe, almost cocoon for me to go deeper into what is encouraging or enforcing the behavior. So at first I say, oh, hey, Eve, okay, this is you experiencing something you've designed for you, and that's completely okay. Now, because it's okay for you to be the expression of you exactly as you are in this specific moment, now let's go into why you've chosen to express and experience yourself in this specific moment. So I think self-love also gives access to more neutrality, or an opportunity to process prior to judging, specifically through reaction. Because some of our contractions or our biggest judgments of others are pieces of ourselves that we haven't fully integrated, accepted, or processed. So I think self-love is key. It's one of the keys to unlocking the next level of reality, and saying who I am as I am right now is totally groovy and completely fine. And with that safety net, let's start to double click on why I am the way that I am.
I love it. You know, the word grace and dignity come to mind for me, because in some of these deep journeys, especially ones that scare like the shit out of you, like, there's a lot of fear that goes into there. And I think that it's that fear and that seeking that lead to that sense of grace. Like, you're talking about discovering the why of the character you're playing. But with that is often a lot of shame and guilt. I think that that's where grace and dignity sort of kind of counterbalance the shame and guilt. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree. I agree completely. I'm curious. Tell me give me an example of a psychedelic experience in which grace and dignity walked you through.
So a while back, about a year ago, I was experimenting with some upper dosages. I would do like 12 to 18 grams of like penis envy. And I was going way out there, you know, and I remember laying in my bed making all kinds of weird sounds. You know, if I always do it alone, like for me, like that's where I'm at. I'm going to do a big dose. I'm going to do it alone because I'm going to probably be naked or rolling around in some weird position. I don't want people to see me. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I should do this alone. But I remember there, like, just having these incredible thoughts of like, and hearing this voice of like, you're a piece of shit. Like, you're so dumb. Like, you do all these things wrong. And I'm like, man, I have done something wrong to piss off the eternal, or the voice of nature, or Gaia, or whatever this spirit realm I'm in. Like, I have pissed it off, and I just took it for so long, and then I finally said, like, why are you being so horrible to me? And it's like, I'm showing you how you talk to yourself. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I get goosebumps when I think about that. Even I'm like, oh my gosh. And then that's where the grace sort of and the dignity began coming. I'm like, this is an incredible, powerful moment. Like, I need to realize what I'm really doing here. I need to have a little bit more grace. Like, maybe I'm learning. Maybe that these are my inner ancestors, and maybe I'm figuring out how to become the best version of me. Maybe I shouldn't be so hard on myself. And like, that really sparked the next steps in order for me to have a little dignity, a little bit of grace. So that was one for me. Do you have a story similar, or maybe you could tell us a story?
Well, really what inspired me as you were speaking is the fact that we are in a state of self-hypnosis.
Yeah.
And when you bring conscious awareness to your negative narratives and you realize, wow, I get to turn up the volume on kindness, and how much, because we are the compilation of the stories that we tell ourselves, the stories
Yeah.
our ancestors told ourselves or passed down to us genetically, and then the firsthand experience that the character writes. That's your nurture program. And those together create us. So when you start looking at, wow, this is how I talk to myself. And how I talk to myself, that's language is the user interface for experience. So how I think to myself and how I speak to myself, that's my interpretation. That's how I inform the World Wide Web of reality. What words show up the most in conversation with me about me? And often, in at least initially, and we can go ahead and zoom out and take a look at society and how it manages to make quite a bit of money for magnifying imperfection, right? Is the some of the training is, hey, let's zoom in on why you're not enough, and why you get to be a little bit uncomfortable and how you're different. And then shifting that and saying, well, if everything is the same thing, then what makes me different makes me groovy. Like, that's my little contribution to consciousness, me being completely convincingly me. And how can I be nicer to those pieces of myself? And that's how you start reworking. It's how you start reworking your relationship to you. And if this consensus reality is a great mirror, then the kinder I am to me, then the kinder I am to me. And flowing through life, feeling loved by this you and that reflected in the big you is such a nice way to play this game. At least that's what I've found. So yeah, that's fascinating. So I remember one time I had, every single psychedelic experience has been awesome. I had one that was awesome in a slightly rougher way. And it was with ayahuasca. And it was because I blatantly disrespected her. I don't know what came over me, but it happened to be my mother's birthday. So I'm sure that was something. Yep. And I was alone in my house, and I took 3 cups of ayahuasca back to back. And it was so dumb. It was so dumb. So silly. And when they came on, I was like, oh no. Oh wow. And I immediately got on my knees and I apologized to the spirit of ayahuasca. And she was like, yeah, I mean, that was dumb. I forgive you. Now you get to forgive yourself. So that ayahuasca journey was me being in physical discomfort and me looping on, Eve, you know better. How could you behave this way? Come on, like all of that. And I had my hands in my head and I forgive myself. And it was so difficult for me to forgive me with something so small that it brought me back into an understanding of how hard, how critical we can be on ourselves. And it was a good touch point for me to have more empathy to the previous version of me that wasn't as nice to her as this version of me is, if that makes sense. So that was my one and only difficult psychedelic experience. And man. So a word from the wise, or word from the wiser now. Absolutely 1 cup at a time. Nice and slow. Slowly build. Respect grandmother. That's my story.
Nice. I got Ranga, our friend Ranga from Toronto. Ranga, what's up, buddy? I'm stoked you're here. He says, the question is, what are the most dangerous words you've ever heard or spoken under the influence of DMT?
The most dangerous? Dangerous how?
I don't know, Ranga. Put that in the chat. I would go with maybe transformative. Is there something that their words or an incantation or something that you spoke or realized under a deep state that was dangerous for you? I guess dangerous being like transformational or shattering something or leaving you different or scarred or better or hard to say.
In my DMT experiences, what I've found is, specifically in our higher level ones, it will loop me into some new level of understanding. I'll remember a percent of it. And for me to bring what I can bring back gets to be simplified. And so over that process, mantras inform themselves.
Yeah.
So some of my favorite mantras are everything is perfect. Yes and more, please. Received in gratitude and released respectfully. Now, one of the most dangerous words that DMT's taught me is need. DMT's taught me that need is an incredibly dangerous word because, well, need has the ability to keep you from the same things that you think you're manifesting by bringing it into that statement. So, okay, so now let's go into why DMT has taught me that need is gets to be updated. So if we think about the mental plane, well, everything is one thing, but just for the sake of separation, we're going to split it. So if we go into the mind, the land of imagination, the internal landscape in which we create reality, this is where time travel happens. So on the mental plane, we can go to the future, to the past very quickly and back to here. The body is in the experiential plane. So the body is the machinery for the imagination to experience the idea that it has, right? Yeah. So the body will only ever be here now. And so what the body is going to do is the body is going to give you the experience that you've asked for or that you've imagined. So if the experience is, for example, I need to get better, you have getting better in the future and you have need in the present. And if all the body can do is access the present, then it's going to give you the experience of needing to get better. And so that if you take a look at how the body will embody that request, if we look at need there's a gravity to need, right? That means I'm incomplete, I'm not fully safe or actualized in this current state. So when you tell the body that this is a need, the body is going to take it very seriously. Now, in addition, so now the body's taking something very serious and it hasn't been released to go forward into giving you what that is. So now if you have now programmed yourself to have an experience of being incomplete and not having access to the thing that's going to bring you to completion. So instead of need, I will say, I receive. Now, if you feel the difference between like, I need to go to the store, 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 versus present continuous, I'm going to the store in divine time. I'm going to the store in divine time. It feels so much better for the nervous system. So a lot of anxiety is the body, incoherence between the body and the mind, because you keep telling the body to go to a place it'll never have access, and you're talking to it and I need to do this, I want to do this. So the body feels incomplete. It's also idling, and the body's here and the mind is here, and the commands put on the body aren't the nicest. So that's basically how anxiety is created. And then you can do the same thing in the past, right? And that's depression. And so that's, if we're going to say, what is a dangerous word that I learned in the DMT space? It's need. It's need. Yeah.
That's awesome. I love the breakdown on that. I once heard a good quote that said, anxiety is being trapped in the future and depression is being trapped in the past. And it reminds me just how incredible our language is, but it also reminds me about the incredible relationship between language and altered states of awareness. It seems like there's a sort of language that we are speaking. Some people talk about it being a download, or some people talk about it seeing language in these geometrical objects that appear open or closed-eyed sometimes. But what do you think is the relationship between language and these altered states? So many people I talk to have an incredible vocabulary, or they have this way of describing things about behavior that they didn't have before they started getting into these altered states. What do you think is going on there?
Another great question. I think, again, language is the user interface of experience, right? It's how the I communicates with itself. It's information. It's energy in form. So I think as we're starting to get it through shape, maybe multi-dimensional shapes
Yeah.
compressed. We see things as we are. We're like, well, how do I explain that to myself? Through language, through vibration and form. So I think that one of the reasons that language has main character energy and altered states of consciousness is because language is what we use to glue ourselves together, right? And then also to separate ourselves. Like I organize that. And it's vibration, right? My vocal cords are vibrating, my eardrums are receiving that vibration, and then it's becoming significant, informing itself in here. So I'm like, ooh, this sound means this thing. And my relationship to this thing is the compilation of what I've been told how to relate to it. And each time I've related to it, each iteration of my relationship to it. And that builds your relationship to cup, for example.
Yeah.
And words are also characters of consciousness. Like this is a character of consciousness. This is us convincingly playing the character of a cup. And what do we name said character? That.
Right.
And then different cells of, like, this is a micro example of my relationship to a cup. But my relationship to this cup is a cell of the macro character of the idea of cup. And that is how, like, the world wide web of one thing separates itself into a bunch of characters. And language does a great job of helping us organize that vibration. So I think that's one of the reasons, at least, yeah, I think one of the reasons why our language shifts in altered states is because language is such a powerful tool that we use to create. Abracadabra.
Yeah.
Right?
Presto.
What do you think?
I feel like it's the evolution of language on some level. Like all these things that you're describing, like I've experienced them, and I can come back away. For me, when I see these incredible like objects, I see them as a language, like a language of connection. Like sometimes you'll see this incredible tesseract or just something like just moving in different ways, and I try to hold on to that as long as I can and be like, what is this? And for lack of a better word, this is the wrong way to describe it, but it's almost like an alien language to me, because what I bring back from that is like a language of connection. And an example of that is like when I meet really cool people, it's almost beyond words. Like it doesn't really matter too much what they say. It's what I feel when they're saying things. And I'm like, this is a whole nother form of language. Maybe it's heart coherence, or maybe it's a language of the heart. But I have noticed such a deeper connection to people with whom I'm communicating, either verbally or non-verbally, since I have furthered my relationship with psychedelics. And it's like a real feeling. It's almost like poetry. You know that feeling you get when you read poetry and you get goosebumps? Like that seems to be a clear form of communication, but I feel that. I get those goosebumps when I talk to people. I'm like, I like this person. Like I like what they're saying, and I'm not even really listening to all their words. I just like being around them. Like that to me is, there's something there. Now it seems to be the evolution of language. Like we're becoming more meaningful. We're moving away from the idea of language as manipulation and moving back into the world of language as connection. Like that's what I see happening there. It's like this next evolution. Is that, what are your thoughts on that? Is that too crazy?
No, that makes perfect sense. Yes, that resonates. It is. It's resonance, right?
I love that. Yes.
It's more than the words. It's the ether. Like it's the interference pattern. It's like, ooh, the idea of you and the idea of me in relationship to each other is a really pretty geometry. Like,
yeah, that's so well said.
Nice. So it is that. And I like that you said shifting away from language as manipulation and moving towards language as connection. I agree. And the more that language has played the connector character, the more I've shifted into telepathy in relationships. And this knowing, and I remember when DMT breaking down what telepathy was. Like I was like, oh,
nice.
Got it. That makes sense. And it's not me communicating my idea to you. It's the larger self informing the imagination. So for example, one of the things that shifted me into telepathy is receiving water. I receive instead of wanting, or I'm going to go get. I decide on the what, and I allow the greater self to take care of the how, and then it's delivered. And so it's not me saying, oh, I'm going to have my partner go get that for me. It's very simple. I receive. And then I get surprised by the ways that it comes. And it's usually communicated to me. It's like, I was feeling like it was a great time for us to have some water. I was like, great idea. I agree. So getting high enough there is no such thing as there. DMT has been very consistent and telling me there's no such thing as them. There's no such thing as there. But being there and actually applying that to here on this three-dimensional, very more materialized, more concrete, where I put my chair has a tendency to stay on this plane of existence. Applying that to here and seeing how much here can feel like a video game.
Yeah.
How I can feel more like a character than a video game of my own creation than a human being having a real life, and starting to just ever so slightly click into what if I could feel less real, and then the reality that supports my realness can be less real as well. What does that feel like? How do I stabilize that? Okay, what's next? And we are one organism at this point. My life feels so connected. Conversations feel so connected. Things flow to me so easily and beautifully, and like in such divine time that I have more evidence in my micro experience that it is connected than it's separate. And that's really cool. So that's been a big gift from psychedelics. And I think it's one of the reasons why there is a renaissance and revolution happening, because they're portals into, we're the same thing. And that allows the organism to more consciously shift. Like it gets to be more of a mental democracy. It's easier said than done. So let's start saying it a little bit differently and see what happens.
I love it. We spend so much time. We're very fortunate to be able to spend so much time and see the world in this sort of shifting view. And sometimes when I look at the psychedelic renaissance, I wonder to myself, is this going to take hold? Are enough people, is there enough people for this to be a catalyst? Is it divine timing? Is this a real evolution we're seeing in our time, and a whole change in mindset, especially in the Western world? Or is it something that just comes above ground for a little while and then disintegrates back into the ground? What are your thoughts on the future of this whole psychedelic movement? Is it something that's going to persist, or is it something that just blossoms to awaken a few people to become catalysts for change?
Yes, and I mean, it's been persisting for a while.
Totally.
And I love that in the holographic nature of reality, we're going into the past, proving to ourselves that we did it before. And we're like, well, I can't because I did. So, look at the Egyptians. They were getting high on mushrooms. And look at, maybe Moses was hanging out with an acacia tree, and let's get religion on board. And I love that we're just, of course, in divine time, evidence to, this has been working for a while. Remember we did that? Remember that we did that? Let's go ahead and do that again. And then everything is perfect. That mantra was birthed through a state of radical acceptance, right? Yeah. So DMT is like, listen, honey, it's all energy. If you'd like to call it God, fine. Whatever language you attach to works for me. And what you're doing is you're giving yourself experience. You are now going from the librarian to the character in each of these books. And you get to have a convincing experience. And any experience that any cell of you has designed for itself is completely valid and completely okay. What makes that experience not okay is your projection and interpretation of that experience. So if you would like this character of consciousness to enjoy themselves more, how about you judge them less and start visualizing them enjoying themselves more? So take away the details of what that means and start deciding on what it is. This person is allowed to have whatever experience they're designing for themselves. And that's self-acceptance. And when an individual accepts, oh, well, look at me, I actually am money, but I decided to make myself feel so far away from money that I could have a convincing experience that I didn't have enough of it. Wow, I am such an incredible storyteller. Look at what I did there. Now, am I interested in continuing to loop on said story? Or am I interested in writing a slightly different one? And where we get to be more creative, creator consciousness, at least in my experience, is a neutrality program. Is saying everything is exactly okay as it is, and then allowing that belief to inform itself in reality. So I think that psychedelics are an amazing tool to remember that everything's completely fine. And some levels of the video game, like when a maze doesn't have doors, it turns into a prison.
Yeah.
The maze gets to be fun as well. So disconnection is the way that we build the maze for ourselves to solve. So we have something to do in time. And when it starts getting too real, we create some doors to remember that we're not in a prison, we're in a maze, we're in a game. This gets to be fun. And I think that psychedelics are some of the doors. They're like, hey, like eat this mushroom.
Yeah.
And things are less dense and things get to be more fluid and more fun. So I think, yes, at this moment in time, psychedelics are here. I believe that. That's been communicated to me by them time and time and time again. Will they fizzle out again and then we'll rediscover them again? Probably, probably. And that's also completely okay. What's your take on this?
Yeah, I see it as like a helical model. Like, and sometimes it feels like we're just going, there's that old quote that says, history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. But a lot of times, like if you read books like The Fourth Turning or just some biographies that people may enjoy, it seems as if we're on this constant relooping pattern. But I think it's more of the helical model. Yes, we're coming back around, but every time we come back around, we're a little bit higher. And so what you're seeing is a view, you're looking back at the past, but you're looking down at the past. So it's not that you're repeating it, it's just that you're on this spiral staircase and you're getting a view of what it used to look like. That's why, history is always changing. Like we have all these new definitions of words and outlooks, and you go back and you read things, and you're like, I don't know about these guys. They seem kind of racist, or I don't know about these people. They thought that. But at the time, they didn't know that. And it's easy for us to see because everything's 2020 in hindsight. So I see this whole revolution as sort of a, a helical spiraling upwards, where at times psychedelics play a part in helping us remember, bring back together the past in a way that we can digest. But yeah, I see it from that aspect. I do wonder sometimes about too much credentialing in psychedelics. Like on some level, I started thinking like, man, who are these teachers that are teaching people to be coaches? Like, I don't know that if someone doesn't thoroughly understand what the whole psychedelic thing is, how are they going to teach somebody else? And when they teach these people, what are they going to teach people? But that gets way out in the woods for me, and I got to stop right there because I can just go down that rabbit hole. But credentialism seems to be an issue in psychedelics today for me.
Keep going.
So it seems, okay, here's the breakdown for me. Like, I think that education is a giant problem, not especially in the Western world. Like, we go and we sit in this sort of Prussian school model. We sit in this classroom with authority figures that stand ahead of us and tell us, you got to ask for permission to go to the bathroom. You got to raise your hand. And we're teaching young kids to, on some level, I feel like we're draining the creativity. We're draining the imagination out of them and creating obedient workers. And so why would we take that model? And that's just in primary school. What happens when you go to college? All of a sudden you go into debt to learn something from somebody who may not even have done the thing they're teaching. Like, that's a flawed model. And so when I see like the psychedelic schools today, I'm like, that's all wrong. Like, you guys are taking a model of authoritarianism and colonialism on some level and preaching it to kids. Like, so why would you take that model and put it into psychedelics? And it's not too far-fetched to think that some of these schools that have like a 6-month cohort or a year-month cohort are looking at oh, well, how do I turn this into a 5-year cohort? You know, and like it seems to be going down the wrong road for me. I think psychedelics are a personal journey. And I know there's people that need help at times, but I think the majority of people should go it alone. Like that's where you find out who you are. That's where you find those doors in the maze. And that's where you come up against those challenges that only you can solve. And you need to solve them by yourself. You can't be looking for other people to solve them. So that's my sort of pushback on the whole psychedelic schools and the cash grab that it kind of seems to be. Is that
Okay,
too?
your solution is no school.
I think my solution is courage. My solution is that people are asking for help when they don't need it. Like they need to find in themselves the courage to try and conquer things.
Well, who's going to teach them that?
I think that you could go and buy a book at Barnes and Noble for $6.99 and learn the same thing a person in a lecture would teach you. And like the
Okay.
seeking to me, like the seeking of help, like that is where the magic is. Like you wanting to figure it out is just as important as going and buying a course or something like that and spending a bunch of money.
I'm listening. Keep going.
Well, think about it. Like what are you going to learn from someone who might be a 25 or 30-year-old student that you couldn't learn from reading the Upanishads? Like I am the fragrance in flowers, just like butter exists in milk and liquidity exists in water, so too do I exist in all that exists. Like that you need to read, like I think that sort of poetry, like that sort of language from the masters, read some Rumi. Like the answers are right there for everybody. And the people that try to sell you stuff, I think that they're not aligned. Like how can you have a school that is predicated on making money but also teaching people? Those two things are in conflict, in my opinion.
If we look at money less as extractive or as a scarcity,
Yes.
and we
Okay.
look at it as a symbol representing a flow of energy that gets to be in balance. So let's go back to being intelligently selfish, for
Okay.
example.
I love that word, by the way, that phrase.
Great. Me too. That makes two of us. That actually makes a few of us. So if we look at money as a scarcity, then what you're saying makes perfect sense.
Okay.
If we educate people in relationship to money as an energy, then the school in and of itself makes sense. So I believe in a school that has a more, let's say, a more mycelium relationship.
Well, okay, what does that mean though? Like, give me an example of a school that has a mycelium relationship.
Well, abundance is a priority, right?
Okay.
So I love a great deal. So that's one of the ways that I define my character in consensus reality. I am a great deal. I love a great deal. I love a thing. I think that things are me playing the character of them. I love being in relationship with them. My things are very much alive. I love beauty.
Yeah.
As much as I live up there, I love coming back to a gorgeous home that makes me feel like a queen. It makes me feel abundant. It makes me feel safe in my reality. So I think it's less about villainizing money, or teaching people to relate to the character of money at this level of consciousness where it isn't expensive. Money is a great deal, and allow money to be a messenger of if you're living in resonance. Like if, for example, my DMT is a never-ending gobstopper. If the DMT starts going down quickly, the DMT is messaging to me scarcity. If it lasts forever, right? I'm like, oh yeah, we're in abundance, right? We're in abundance, baby. Money is also a great messenger of me holding myself accountable. And I think that if we teach people, as we teach people to relate to money in a way, so those that are super wealthy, as opposed to blaming them for being rich, Let's say, okay, so this character of consciousness has mastered abundance on the material plane. It doesn't mean they're necessarily happy. They've got other things that they get to master, but it looks like they see money as an abundant resource that multiplies itself faster than they can consume it. There's a level of wisdom there.
Yes, agreed.
What can I learn from somebody that's stabilized this level of consciousness in relationship to money? Because a limited resource is us playing the character of a limited resource, and an unlimited resource is us playing the character of an unlimited resource. So finite is an illusion. Now, when that is a maze or it's a prison. So I think villainizing profit is its own loop. I think transcending our relationship to money and actually seeing it for abundance is that makes more sense. That makes more sense to me. I think, yeah, like we get to educate people on abundance and it gets to be a great deal. Now, those schools, it happening. So if they don't get to profit from it, then now they're not a sustainable organism. So then now what I'm hearing is a little bit of a codependency program coming on, because those schools aren't, if we take a look at, I mean, this is new for me. I haven't thought about this. I really haven't thought about this before. So this is fresh. If we take a look at, how are we going to bring that into what's happening now? One of the things that we get to be very careful with in the psychedelic space is our relationship to VCs, right? And prioritizing profit over peace.
Yeah.
So I think one of the things that has kept my business thriving and beautiful, and things come to me and I trust myself with, as my level of power expands, as my level of abundance expands, I trust myself more and more because peace is my priority.
Yeah.
So I think prioritizing peace over profit, that's a good little to put in there, and making sure that we're in resonance that way, because when you start getting greedy, you won't be in peace. You won't be in resonance. And, but also those in the space get to be stabilized enough in their reality that they can stay on this level of thought. So for example, if I was concerned about rent, if I was concerned about my health, right? If I didn't feel fully safe in my reality, if I hadn't checked off, let's go Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If I hadn't checked off all those needs, I would not be equipped to guide my clients through this abstract land, because I would be here. I'd be preoccupied. One of the reasons that I'm fully present where I am is because I know that I'm safe in my reality. So how can we allow these institutions to feel safe so that we can play in the esoteric realm? But how do we make sure that they don't loop into that greediness and money, and is abundance, is letting money be a symbol of energy. And you get it. I feel like you get it. Thoughts?
I do. I feel like we're on an incredible shift. Like we've spoken about the shift in language. We've spoken about the shift in awareness. And I think with those two things, like those are the cornerstones of building a better world. And I think education is changing all around us right now. I see it happening in this conversation and a lot of other conversations I had. I'm just always curious to try and find the things that sort of bother me and then just get a perspective on them. You know, I'm grateful for the opinion on it. And I think that the best teachers that I have met, they have this sort of magnetism to them. You know, this sort of, they've been further than me. And I think you can only lead someone as far as you have gone. You know what I mean? Like that's the only way. And otherwise it just smells like bullshit. Like, and you can smell it. You're like, okay, this person, why am I, if you have $1 million in the bank, like why are you going to go to a money manager that has like 200,000 in their bank account? Like, what are you doing? Like, that's the wrong person to go to. But it's interesting just to see it. And maybe that's my awareness starting. Maybe that's where I'm at in my life. It's like I'm starting to see these things I didn't see before. And so it's just a eternal growth pattern, I guess.
And conscious awareness is where power
Yeah.
lies, right?
Agreed. Yeah.
Something has your attention. Now, that's how you can shift it. And so that's a great place to be. Congratulations. Like this bubbling up and you're like, oh, what's my relationship to this? Okay,
Yeah.
let's go. And then what if I add a little salt into my relationship with this? How will it inform itself? What if I add a little sugar to my relationship with this? How will it inform itself? And giving, and it is resonance. So
Yeah.
what does it feel like? And that's one of the ways that I check in. That's one of the ways that I check in with my choices, really, is my intuition. Like I know my flow. It feels like a and I don't have to know why I know. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I can turn that vibration into information and I can decide, oh, well, it feels very intelligent based on these past decisions and these experiences. I can rationalize the fuck out of it. And I can also just trust it. And tuning into the vibration of the situation has brought me to the next level of my mastery. It's like, ooh. And then when a behavior or a belief system is not in resonance with this version of my character, it'll be like, yeah, and I'll feel it. And I'm like, oh, okay, less of that. How do I, okay, go back and tuning into, and that's how I don't wait in line for the bathroom. That's how I don't bump into people anymore. Like the seas open up for me because I feel the path of least resistance. It's being like water in that way. So what you resist persists, what you accept dissolves. And I think acceptance of self and then in result, everything else is another key to unlocking it. So I like that you're looking at these things and accepting them in your own way. I'm proud of you, George.
Thank you. Let me jump into the chat over here. We got some questions stacking up. This one comes to us from Desiree. She says, what's the prayer you whisper to yourself now that you never would have dared? What's the prayer you whisper to yourself now that you never would have dared to say before your DMT journeys?
Ooh, Desiree. Yes, queen. I never would have dared to say before. I'm not actively comparing myself to who I was before who I am now, if that makes sense. So, that I wouldn't have dared. I've been pretty daring my whole life.
You seem pretty daring. I love it.
I've been pretty daring. I am God, maybe. I am God. Like, yeah, this is me. And so is everything else. All is self. Probably all is self. I did not have an understanding of all is self until DMT. I might have dared to say it then, but it wouldn't have made sense to me then. So all is self. That's the prayer. All is
I love
self.
it. I love it. You know, I've had that experience of I am God. And it's so overwhelming. It's so like, oh my gosh, like you don't want to believe it. You know, I remember on another pretty big journey I had, I remember sitting in my library and being like, how did I write all these books? I wrote every one of these books. How the hell did I do that? I'm just rereading everything I wrote. And then like you start realizing like you are everything. And it's pretty scary. At least it was for me. I'm like, oh my God, I should probably go outside and start telling people I'm God. And like I got as far out into like my backyard and I'm like, what am I doing? And I can't go tell everyone I'm God. But like it's such a crazy feeling to have that just that sense of like, it's me. It's all me. Everything is me. And then you come back, you start coming down a little bit, and you're like, whoa, you try to integrate that into your life. That's a banger.
It is. It is. I remember. So at one point when I was like, "Oh, guys, this is a big deal. Like, this is God. God, we're God." And GMT was like, "Hold on, come back, come back." And then, man, a few journeys later, I was smoking DMT in the shower, and then it was like, so now we're doing this in relationship to size, okay, Eve?
Okay.
So the biggest thing that ever did big, I'm going to make you the smallest thing that ever did small. I was like, oh my goodness, I am so insignificant. And it gave me, you're the biggest thing that ever did big. Then it said, you're the smallest thing that ever did small. And then it was like, well, size is also an illusion because everything is you. So you're a big deal compared to, like, who are you talking to, Eve? Who are you talking to? Oh, yeah. Are you important compared to what? Like if you are all. So I think the missionary moment in psychedelics, and I do, when I see an individual at that stage of like, guys, I think it's charming. I think it's actually like how psychedelics get their advertising out.
That's a great way to put it.
And then I also encourage that person, let's go deeper, because I see you're at part of it, and I know what it's like to be a part of that. And now we get to make that significance completely insignificant, right? So that's, again, the neutrality program. So positivity is a charge, negativity is a charge, neutrality is what holds them. So that's creator consciousness to me, is it being it, like that's also peace. Everything is as it's meant to be, and the opinion that you have is how you're now going into character consciousness. As you get it anyway. So neutrality really, when we do psychedelic schools, because we love boxes, letters. We love letters. We're people. We're like, look at the letters. Look at the letters. There's a person whose name is letters that then used a bunch of letters that I listened to long enough that now I have these letters. Result. Neutrality is super important. Really, really, really important. And I'm receiving more of that in conversations with psychedelics, is what are we learning from them and how can we embody them? And I think embodying them more and more has to do with being less attached to either outcome. And something that I have actually really, I'm very, very pleased with the level of conversation and communication that I had at MAPS was incredibly inspiring. So many characters of consciousness, very self-actualized, and using we language. I've been thrilled, absolutely thrilled to hear a lot of we language in the psychedelic community. A few years back, I was hearing a little bit more they language, them. There was a little bit of an anger program, and in my experience, and that also has to do with my level of consciousness, it's neutralized itself. And I hear a lot of we. And so whatever direction we are going in psychedelics, I trust us. And I trust our teachers. And as long as we stay in relationship with them, DMT tells me, like it cleans me up real quick. So as long as we remember that there are teachers and we're the translators. That feels more digestible to me in terms of a formal educational program.
I love the way you put that. And it's amazing to me, like how it's almost like going to school. Like you go into a deep altered state of awareness with whatever catalyst you're using. And there's so much depth in there. You talked about how you can be God and you can also be an ant at the same time. It's
Yeah.
like, look at this. Oh yeah, but you're really this.
Yeah.
And when I think of some of the scariest events that I've had, I remember one time sitting in my bathtub, like I had taken like 80 milligrams of 4-ACO-DMT, and I remember having this intention, like I want to know why, like my son died. This is so unfair. This is bullshit. I want to know why. And it was one of the first times I ever heard, like there was an actual voice. Like I heard an actual voice, like in this such an authoritarian tone. It was like the terror before the sacred. When you stand before something so beautiful, you're like, you're afraid of it. Like that was the sound of this voice. And it's like, you want to know? And I just got quiet and it got louder. It's like, oh, you want to know? And I felt like it was getting louder. And it's like, answer me. And I'm like, yeah, I want to know. And then all of a sudden, I'm curled up in the bathtub and like I just saw all these visions. And they were like horrific visions, Eve, of like kids dying, accidents, people getting killed. And I'm like, oh, and I felt like just this flood of information just right into my brain. Like there were real images right in front of me. And I was like, I get it. It's not happening to me. It's happening to all of us. It's not just me. Okay, I got it. I'm like, shut it off. And it's like, nope, you wanted to see. You're going to keep seeing. And I remember like crying. But there's so much information and it is such a depth. Like these altered states, if you connect with them in the right way, there is so much learning that you can do. It's like you can live a lifetime in 4 hours. You can live a lifetime and there's so much information there and it's all around us. And I want people that are responsible and curious and that want to know more to have the courage to explore those states because there's so much learning that can be done in there.
I agree. I do. I totally agree.
Oh, I'm so excited for the state of psychedelics and where it can go and to remove sort of the stigma of it being on there. Do you think we'll move through the stigma? I know for me sometimes it's like, oh, you're just a drug addict doing some mushrooms sometimes it comes from people you care about the most. Like, what is your thoughts on building a bridge between the stigma and the people that still have it when you're someone that uses it?
I mean, you're looking at the bridge. I don't experience a stigma because I'm
No?
so embodied. I'm so embodied and I'm interesting and I make it make
You are.
sense. I'm curious.
Yes.
So I'm like, this is blah, 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 blah. We have a conversation. Like, what do you do? And then I tell them and they're like, wow, where'd you learn this from? That. Okay. Okay. I don't read. I smoke. Okay. Telling me that is what happens from that. I am. And there you go. There goes the stigma.
Yeah.
So I embody it. And remember, if it's not for them, it's not for them.
Yeah.
Perfect. Like I don't have a sense of urgency. Everything is exactly as it's meant to be. Whatever level of consciousness you're experiencing, however connected or disconnected it feels, you're entitled to it. How you're experiencing reality, I'll be more magnetized to you, or love you from further away. Like if you're in a victim mentality, go for it over there.
Right.
If life is happening for you and through you, welcome to here. Let's celebrate together. And that's simply what I'm attracted to, what's in resonance with me. That's our music. It isn't right or wrong. It's my personal preference, and that's okay. So I think one of the ways to have less of a stigma is to have less of a stigma of those that have the stigma. Does that make sense? Like, how judgy are you being of them for not doing psychedelics? And maybe they're bring you back to you. What do you have? Yeah, I feel so safe in my reality. I feel very supported and I feel so much curiosity from people around psychedelics. And I've seen the ripple effect of people being in relationship with me, having a tendency to get high. So it's good. Yeah. And yeah, everything's perfect.
Justin from Topanga comes in and says, where does self-love turn into spiritual bypassing, or does it?
So let's define spiritual bypassing. It's not a word that I use on a regular basis.
Okay.
What does it
Hmm. I would define it as lying to yourself about the truth. So saying something like, I don't need to worry about my problems because I've transcended them. Like on some level, there's truth in there, but it can also be a way for you to not deal with issues. You know what I mean by that? Like that would be spiritual bypassing to me.
Well, if you're lying to yourself, are you loving yourself?
There you go.
Yeah. This is the mirror. So I can tell
Right.
myself all day, and it'll be reflected back to me. Like,
Yes.
Will, my reality lets me know very quickly if I'm in flow and if I'm in resonance. Like it goes from a smooth operator to like, and so I clean it up. So I clean it up. So I
Yeah.
think honesty is self-love. Now you can get into a mantra. You can reprogram yourself to play a different character. Absolutely. I believe that we're hypnotizing ourselves into the characters that we play, and kindness and consistency are key to shifting your reality into a more enjoyable version of you. Now, for you to shift into a more enjoyable version of you, you get to take a look to reprogram, you get to see the program, right?
Yeah.
So to go into that, you get to see the program enough that you speak the program fluently enough that you have the capacity to alter the program. Now, if you're bypassing a part of the program, it's probably the same piece of the program that you get to edit. So eventually you're going to take a look at that program. You get to do it kindly because then you're safer to have that conversation. You are holding yourself accountable some way. And accountability, responsibility, it's the ability to count. It's the ability to respond. I'm able to respond to the situation that I'm experiencing that's expressing itself. So yeah, a form of self-love is honesty. You get to be honest with yourself. This created that. Do I like what I created through this behavior? Sure. Yes, and more, please. No. Released respectfully. I get to behave a little differently to design a different outcome that I'll enjoy more. Does that answer the question?
Yeah. I think of the word honor comes up when I think of honesty. And that seems to be a good bridge. Like when you think about honesty, think about honoring yourself and like honoring what the right thing is. And that word to me has a lot of power. And that helps me be honest with myself. So for all the listeners out there, for Justin, I would use honor when it comes to honesty. That's one I use. This next one comes up to, this is coming from Betsy. Betsy says, you've been dissolved into source and returned to the flesh. You've been dissolved into source and returned to the flesh. Are you redefining yourself every time you come back? I think that's what she means. Thanks, Betsy. Does that kind of make sense?
What a compliment. I'm charmed. I receive. I love it.
Yeah.
So source is an interesting word for me because again, DMT keeps reminding me that there's no such thing as there. So it's like, where are you going, Eve? Who are you talking to, Eve? So I like to look at it now more as like, have you ever had a 5-MeO experience where it's that white ultraviolet light of allness? And it's like, you can't even have an opinion about it because all is you. And you're like, woo, that is like that light turned up so bright that all of separation goes away. And you can also turn the light so dark that all of separation goes away. That's the void or like the all, if we're going to go to those two extremes. And where we play with light, with emotion, with texture, with experience is here. And so the void is here. Absolutely nothing is absolutely nothing. Absolutely everything is absolutely everything. And here's a couch, here's a dog, here's a conversation, here's a computer, here's a chair, here's a day. They're happening. So I think when And with DMT, there's different levels of experience. Sometimes it's HD and I'm here and it's a video game, and that's the reminder. Sometimes it's wow. And then it reminds me that that is the background code of this, and this is not as structured. This doesn't matter as much as I thought it did. And the fact that it's less important now makes it more accessible to me. Like, I'm like, what's the big deal, Eve? Who are you talking to, Eve? What are you angry about, Eve? Like, so it likes to fold me back into myself, and then it'll origami me back into this human being sitting on a couch talking to George. Great. And happening simultaneously. My interpretation of how serious or how separate it is to me is happening through me. So yeah, when I come back, I'd like to think I come back smarter. Yeah, I do. And healthier. Like, I'm healthy. Like, I don't get sick either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the visual of folding and origami. Like, it's such a beautiful way to put it. Like, yeah, you get folded this way, then you come back as this beautiful crane, or sometimes you come back as a plane, you know? It's such a cool way to look at it. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks.
This one is coming from Clint Kyle's, the incredible psychedelic Christian podcast. Everyone should check it out. He says, what is the most intelligently selfish thing you've ever done?
So, my contraction is around superlatives, right? They're the most. I feel like it's not in competition with the others. So a few ways that I'm intelligently selfish is having boundaries with family. And that was earlier on in psychedelics, but really releasing a codependency program. So when I pour into people, it's from a full fuck yes. So I'm very empowered in my acts of service. And when I put energy into people, it's because I actively, consciously, and unapologetically choose to. And what that has done for me is I like to call resentment the mold of codependency. And resentment, she's sneaky.
Yeah,
and,
brutal.
Do things for them, and I did this for you, and they don't do it for me. It's dangerous. You weaponize kindness. So one of the most intelligently selfish things that I've done is have boundaries. With my family, with my friends. I've really gotten comfortable with the word no. I love a no. I love a no. And being safe in a no has brought me into being loved with a yes. Like, so boundaries. I think boundaries are so important. They're the velvet ropes of relationships.
I love that. Yeah, resentment will get you. It's like this thing that just sort of grows slow, and then it just takes over, and pretty much it just leaks out of everything that you do.
Oh my gosh, resentment, it's yucky. What about you? What's the most intelligent? What's one of the more or most intelligently selfish things? Hey, Chip.
I think it was the most intelligently selfish things I've done was to stand up for myself. And it came to me, a few years ago is when I'm really proud of, is when I was really intelligently selfish. And it was like, I had this career and I was crushing, doing well. And I started seeing, like, I was in my work environment, I started seeing everybody as weak. And I'm like, these fuckers, they don't even stand up for themselves. Look at these people. Bunch of fucking pussies. What's wrong with them? And then, like, I remember, like, I started getting kind of mean too. Like, I remember making fun of this guy, and then a mutual friend pulled me aside, and he's like, George, you are being an asshole. And I'm like, nah, I'm just busting this guy's balls. And I remember I went home that night, and I had like a huge journey, and I thought to myself, like, why is everyone so weak? I'm so sick of it. And then it hit me like a ton of bricks. They're not weak. You are. You know, and I was like, oh my God, I am. I'm just seeing it in all these other people, and all they're doing is reflecting back to me how weak I am. And me saying these things is just, oh my God, that's the weakest thing ever. I'm the weak. I am the weak. And so I began standing up for myself at a level that was slow at first and then all at once. But it was a giant momentous shift in the character of George that I'm now playing. And it's like, wait a minute, these things that you see in other people are things you see in yourself. And so for me, it was that realization of the mirror, and then being like, look, I got to work on just me right now. I need to be selfish. I need to figure these things out and change this program and rewrite this part of code. I need to change the neuroplasticity here. So that's immediately what I thought of when I heard you say intelligently selfish for the first time. I'm like, that's such a great way to put it. Like, and it embodies what these changes are in ourselves so that we can create a better world for ourselves. But yeah, they're usually big, these intelligently selfish things that happen. And I think they're milestones, and they should be celebrated in our lives.
Yeah. And they're also a great way, like, for us to take responsibility.
Yes.
Clean up our little pocket of reality.
Yep.
And each of us stops distracting ourselves from someone else or deprioritizing ourselves because I have to take care of them. What we'll start doing is taking care of us, tightening that person's feedback loop and giving them an opportunity to see more clearly their responsibility. Because we have a tendency to bounce. And if some codependent behavior is like keeping somebody right above rock bottom and not giving them the opportunity to bounce. So what I is, okay, you're going to be wise enough to listen to yourself, smart enough to learn from yourself. Both ways are great ways. It looks like you get to have the space to be smart enough to learn from yourself. And then later you'll be wise enough to listen to yourself, informed through another character that says, hey, this gets to be easy. And sometimes it has to be hard because that's the experience that you've designed, and people are entitled to do that. So us bringing back, removing other people as the excuse. Like, stop blaming them. There's no such thing as them. Let's focus on you. Because sometimes we have a tendency to, and I've noticed, and I love being in my own head. And even I will notice, of course you do. I love in your head, George. It's a fabulous head. I'm having a blast in there. Even I, and it's nice in here. Like, I know that I like it. I like me. I have a great time. Even I sometimes will notice myself distracting myself from going inward by like, ooh, let's do an outside thing and an outside thing and an outside thing. I'm like, I'm kind of running away from myself a little bit. That's all right. That's interesting. Let's go inward, see what's going on. And it's usually really nice in there. And it's usually really nice in there for everyone. Like, the more that we trust going inward, the more that trust will be positively reinforced. Like, I've noticed that, and altered states of consciousness are a great way to find out that it's not so scary inside of their dialoguing with your character. So, I mean, I went on a little infinity circle there, but I had fun.
Yeah, I like being in there. It's a beautiful space. Thank you. What else do we got here? We got time for a couple more. This one's coming to us from Neil. Neil says, if you could create a new word to describe the feeling of a psychedelic journey, what would it be?
A new word?
A new word. That's what he says. Thanks, Neil. He's putting the pressure on you.
So one time, not that long ago, so DMT does work with me on vibration and mantra and that kind of stuff. And not that long ago, I had a DMT journey that lasted like 20 minutes.
Whoa.
And like there wasn't Changa, there wasn't an MAOI on board, straight up in DMT. And I was like, this shouldn't be. Like, you know better, Eve. Sometimes I do that. Anyway, it was 20 minutes because it lasted the length of a song. That was that long. I had that as a marker. I was sitting in my guest bathroom on the toilet and I had a fabulous time. And it was really, 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 really intense. And I was like, what is the word for this? What is the word for this? What is the word for this? And it was Eve. And it was my name in vibration. So
I love it. I love it. That's amazing. I was gonna say for me, it would be a sound. Like I don't even know if it would be a word, more of like a guttural sensation. But that would take us right back to vibration. I think and maybe that's the crux of language. It is just vibrations. You know, mine would be like "Ah!" something like that, probably.
it sounds like a roller coaster of a journey. Like when you're like, wee.
Oh, hey Eve, have you done the experiment with DMT and like the laser?
Yeah. So Danny's a friend of mine.
Can you break that down for us, like to people who may not know what that is?
So break it down as me or break it down as
Yeah, maybe just give some background and then like what your experience was like.
oh. let me think.
Okay.
Processing. So I'm thinking, how long ago was this? I have a couple of the lasers here. I get to do it more. So Danny and his incredible fiance, Kelsey, they're such beautiful people. They came out to Brazil. We went to the beach together and I got high on DMT and he showed me. What I had access to was the bigger ones. Like, so there's the really small, like Harajuku kind of matrixy tiny ones. Those didn't come forward for me as much. What I saw was a micro version of like a macro DMT experience. So basically it was like, you know, those what you're having, those worlds can be within worlds within worlds. So I had basically in the laser a DMT journey happening. And then I had like a banner of larger words in a different language. So I personally have not experienced the identical code. Where Danny and I differ a little bit is he plays the role of the masculine saying there's something else, and I play the role of the feminine saying all is self. So I think we live in a collectively created perception of reality. If we would like to stabilize a shared DMT experience, we have the power to do so.
Yeah.
And we can all agree on it. Do I think that the background code of reality is an actual language? I think it can be experienced as a language. And the more we perceive it to be, the more we stabilize that way of talking about it. I think it gets smaller than that if we get into quantum mechanics. And then I think that is also built on nothing if you turn the lights down low enough. I think it's really groovy. I think it's super groovy. And Danny's a great dude. He's a great dude. And he has smoked a lot of DMT.
You have to see the source code in the laser. Like that's not a that's a long-term relationship. But I agree. I think you can see that source code in whatever if you're looking for it. You know, and maybe it might not look like an alien language as much as it might feel like an angel singing or something like that.
Yep.
Right? The code is there for everybody to see, just depending on how you want to manifest it, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, that resonates. That resonates with me. Yeah, it does. I think it's cool what he's doing. I think it's super cool. Yeah, and I'm excited to see what comes from it.
Who else do you think are cool in the world of psychedelics and what they're doing?
There's so many cool
I know. You were one of them.
Thank you. I received. At MAPS, I had the pleasure of meeting Chris Polly. And he is such, I remember Jennifer Zuckerman introduced me to him, and she said, protect him at all costs. And I was like, okay. And then when I met him and chatted with him, I got it. I was like, I get it. He is safe in my witchcraft. He deserves it. He is a wonderful human being. His relationship with nature is so inspiring. That man is talking to trees. Like, they're talking to him, he's talking to them. He gets it. Brilliant. Who else? I'm in personal relationship with. I'm really impressed with Steph and what she's creating. I'm really impressed with Olivia and what she's creating and how she's bringing AI in. I love how heart-centered she is in her work with clients and MDMA. She's wonderful. I love my people here in Brazil, my pages. How fucking cute they are. I love that as you start getting into deeper relationship with indigenous people, they're basically partying in the jungle. Like, they're just like us. Have some ayahuasca. Let's clean it up with some combo. Let's have some cafe. Let's have a conversation. Let's dance. Let's make some jewelry. We're smarter now. Let's do it again. Let's forget what we are. So I'm really loving this bridging of the science and ancient tradition and the indigenous people, and seeing them. I love it. I love it. I love my psychonauts. I love my scientists. I love my pages. I love my friends. I love everybody in the psychedelic space. At my level of consciousness, everybody that I'm meeting in relationship to psychedelics is keeping me curious, inspired, and making me smarter. So as of right now, and I continue to, and I will, this will fika, I'm stabilizing this. Whoever I have met in the psychedelic space, yourself included, has been very inspiring, super embodied, well worded, and yes, and word please to this level of character for sure. I love my mirrors. I love my psychedelic mirrors.
It's so beautiful. Eve, this is an amazing conversation. I think this conversation has exceeded all that I knew coming into it. I'm so stoked to get to hang out with you, meet you. And I know that the first time we met was just the first time. We got many more gatherings and things coming up. But I wanted just to send it back to you for a moment. Like, if someone's listening to this conversation, whether it's today, tomorrow, or 5 years from now, and they're like, I want to talk to Eve. I wonder what she's doing. Like, I wonder if she could help me out. Like, how would someone reach out to you if they were curious and wanted to talk to you?
Oh, great question. So go to chatdmt.app. So chatdmt.app. And you'll answer a couple questions, and that'll go directly to me, and I'll get back to you.
It's so awesome. It's so awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did and as much as Eve did. And I hope you have a beautiful day. I hope you stay curious, and I hope you realize that you can change the program of your life if you're willing to do it. Eve, hang on briefly afterwards to everybody else. I hope you have a beautiful day. That's all we got. Aloha.